I guess I'll have to listen for it to go ch-ch again. All right, so let's look at your, what were we?
I think talking about,
Oh, the change for next year.
yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the butterfly method.
Oh, yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, I think I may try to push the butterfly method. It does allow them to not find the common denominator, but it still gives them the answer. So I think I may try it that way, because I did try to push the common denominator. And then also, I think you were asking me why.
Oh, yeah. Why do you think that they have such a hard time with that?
Right. Well, I did try to, distinguish the difference between the greatest common factor and the least common multiple. And I do think it kind of, threw them off, because I tried to chunk the lesson and do reducing, which when you reduce, you find the greatest common factor. But when you find the common denominator, you have to find the least common multiple. And I think they were getting too confused.
Yeah.
I did try to, break it down and say the factors are the smaller numbers, the multiples. When you multiply, you make big numbers. So I did try to do that. I think it may have worked a little bit, but I think that's some things that I can definitely change next year. Yeah.
I know sometimes I'm making notes on stuff before I'm even done teaching it, like
Right.
before I even get it put into my lesson book to turn into the next topic that we're gonna do.
Right.
Okay, so let's do your self-assessment. All right, so with the self-assessment, I was just gonna go through and just talk about just a couple of the domains. There's the 10 performance standards, but I don't think that, we won't have to go through all 10 of them.
Right.
So let's look at the first one. So the performance standard 1. And the performance standard 1 talks about your professional knowledge. So when we think about the TEKS evaluation and we think about the Muskogee County's mission, vision, and values, all the standards fit somewhere within this. And so like with the first one, the professional knowledge, if we look at it up under values, and it says that we commit to continuous learning and improvement, which is one thing that teachers, even after we are first year teaching, we go back to trainings and we go to different professional development things.
Right.
And so thinking about your professional knowledge of your content, is there a type of professional development that you would be interested in attending? Is there something like on a specific topic?
Right. On math.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or pedagogy, like a teaching strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I think there's always, chances to improve and look at, other things that may work in the classroom than what I'm already doing. So yes, I do think there's some PLs I can go to. I guess one specifically is well, I know one that I would like to go to. We do have this new textbook, and I can definitely learn more about how to use the online, the online portion, and assign an assignment. So I guess that's something that I would like right now.
Is with the new textbooks.
The new textbook.
Yeah.
Yeah, the online portion.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Me too. Okay, so then performance standard 2, but underneath instructional planning. So this one, if you look at the mission, where it talks about for us to inspire and equip all students to achieve unlimited potential, of course, our instructional planning, what we put into the lessons, affects what the students get in the classroom and then take with them after they leave us. And so thinking about that, compared to last year, your first year teaching, what changes have you seen in your instructional strategies or your classroom management the way that you did things last year versus this school year with your second year coming in? What's one main thing?
Well, classroom management. I think it's been a lot better this year. I mean, I was, my first year, so I was just kind of trying new things that I've heard other people do or things that I may have, looked at online. So one thing that I think that I improved on as far as classroom management is that behavior plan that I told you about earlier. The positive, the reinforcements that we have at the end of each week, whether it's something small, but I do think they look forward to it, and it gives them motivation to, do what they need to, to stay on task and do what they need to do. So I think that changed, or that was one of my improvements.
With standard 3, instructional strategies, when looking at your self-assessment, I think the instructional, a lot of things with the instructional strategies goes along with the instructional planning.
Right.
Because the strategies that we decide to use, we usually put into that planning part.
Right.
And so when you look at the self-assessment, I think that a lot of the things kind of overlap with each other. And I think that like your score on each of those mirrors each other.
Right.
From your standard 2 with the instructional planning to your instructional strategies.
Right.
So then looking at performance standard 4, the differentiated instruction. On the self-assessment, if we go back and then look at the creating we, the mission, visions, and values, it says that, it goes back, I think, to the mission to inspire, equip all students to reach their unlimited potential. And so with differentiated instruction, that is us meeting the students where they are and then creating lessons that kind of meet their individual needs. Is there one thing this year that you think you have done that effectively does differentiated instruction in your classroom?
Yeah. Well, I think the use of the interactive notebook that we use for foundations, I think it has a lot of differentiating in that. It gives them visuals, it gives them guided notes, it gives them vocab, recaps on, prior knowledge. So I think that has a lot of differentiating in it itself.
All right, performance standard 5, assessment strategies. With the assessment strategies, looking at the Muskogee County School District's mission, vision, and values, the values part says we hold ourselves and others to the same high standards. So how would you like to, you had put on your evaluation, I think it's the very last one, that using rubrics or scoring guides, that is something that you didn't score yourself as high on. How would you like to implement those in your classroom?
Well, I don't necessarily have a rubric. I do, make an answer key where I kind of score according to how many steps it takes. But I do think I can, just create more rubrics, so it can give them a sense on what they need to do for this. Pretty much kind of help them self-evaluate themselves.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of...
And giving them exemplary examples.
Right.
So, when you complete this is exemplary. This is what to get 100% credit.
Right.
And then one that's not, kind of showing them, this shows me that you have somewhat understanding.
Right.
This tells me that you may know how to start, but then not completely work out the problem. And so that is something we could do with, not just with projects, I guess, but with practice along the way.
Right.
And not always just with a project at the end. So that's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, standard 6, assessment uses. Again, I think that goes to, back to the values where we commit to continuous learning and improvement.
Right.
And assessments are gonna be part of what we have to do as teachers and then for ourselves too.
Right.
And so whenever we, look at using the assessments for the students, and sometimes we use like the formative assessments in the classroom, like on a daily basis, how we see things.
Right.
Is there something that you've used or a strategy that you've done in the classroom that kind of gives you that daily, like, here, this is where they are today, so then what do we need to do tomorrow? Is there something you do in the classroom throughout the class period?
Yeah, well, we commonly use ticket out the doors. That I may, just put a check if they got it. Or even if I don't get a chance to check it, I'll give it back and then we'll go over it and then I'll get them to check it and just, see if anyone would like to share where they went wrong and how they can fix it. So we commonly use ticket out the doors.
Yeah. One of the things we talked about during the post-observation was the best know, where when they do a ticket out the door, you go over them, but then you share them. You tell them not to put their name on it, but
Right.
then you kind of share them with the class the next day. And this is one of the things I saw that lets me know that there's some type of misconception to address with y'all. So that's what some teachers call it. It's like the best one that
Right.
wasn't not quite right. So,
Right.
which goes along with your ticket out the door thing. All right. Professional standard 7, positive learning environment. We talked about that during when we just discussed your observation. And so, and I think that is something that you've done very well with, just being in your classroom, seeing you in the hallway with the students, knowing the students feel comfortable with you, and staying after school. You always have students that are wanting to stay for tutoring, and so if they didn't feel comfortable in your classroom, then they wouldn't
Right.
be in there. So, professional standard 8, academically challenging.